If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to Change Toothpaste. That's at changetoothpaste.com, and it is toothpaste tablets just like paste, but without the waste. So let me tell you why I am making the switch over to Change Toothpaste. Now, this is kind of wild because I just found out about all this myself. So, more than 900 million toothpaste tubes are entering our landfills and oceans every year on a global scale. Toothpaste tubes take over 500 years to break down and cannot be recycled. A fundamental change is required, and it starts with you, and it is starting with me. So, their sustainable toothpaste tablet removes the need for a tube altogether. Packaged in compostable pouches, they reduce the environmental footprint while giving you a clean, fresh brushing without any harsh chemicals. Change toothpaste tablets help you make a small change that makes a big environmental impact. Now, their mission started when they noticed how their kids show care for our planet, and they wanted to do their part to reduce the global plastic waste problem to make sure that the environment is safe and healthy for generations to come. So together, we believe we can create a global movement to protect our beloved planet. You brush your teeth each and every day, obviously a few times a day. So once your toothpaste tube is finished, it's thrown into the garbage, and you don't think about it. With Change Toothpaste, the tablets are just like paste without the waste, helping your teeth feel naturally fresh, clean, and prepared for anything that your day has in store. Thank you again, Change Toothpaste. And if you want to learn more about Change Toothpaste, you can go to changetoothpaste.com. Thank you again, Change Toothpaste, for being the sponsors of this episode. And for listeners just wanting to try Change Toothpaste out, you can use special code Sheila, capital letters SHEILA 20, to get a discount on your first order. Enjoy.
Ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest, Melissa Binkley. She is the founder of the Intuitive Intelligence Academy, and she is a quantum healer and spiritual alchemist, certified Mastery Transformational Coach, soul and business strategist, and #1 best-selling author and international transformative speaker. Melissa uses several techniques that fuse science and spirituality, personal development, and the quantum field. I love the quantum field. I can't wait to start our discussion. Her trainings include neuroscience, quantum physics, cognitive behavioral therapy, NLP, transpersonal psychology, and more. So welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Sheila. I'm so excited to chat about this fun conversation today.
And one of the things, this show was actually started when I had my best-selling book come out, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And I felt really guided to write the book back in 2019 before the pandemic hit. And so it is something that is very on point for our time. And I like to start off with having guests share about maybe a time. Could you share about in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track?
Oh, well, I've had so many. And, I think we all have those moments. But the one that I want to share is the one that I experienced in 2015. So in 2009, I ended up homeless after a lot of experiences, and I built a incredible business and organization in the next 6 years, from 2010 to 2015. And I built it on, I think, bootstraps and bra straps, right? Where I had healed a bunch of stuff. And so I built a business trying to help others, but I hadn't healed enough because I had been homeless, that I built this business on 70 hours a week, working really hard, like doing all of the things, because part of me had a fear of ever like being homeless again, or being in a situation where I couldn't take care of myself or my family or any of those things. So I got to a point in 2015 where our company, my academy, or the organization, was just getting ready to go international. And I was working on my third conference, and we had about 200 people in the room, and I'm on stage doing transformational healing work, teaching people how to love themselves more and heal their lives, and teaching healers how to, build businesses based on what their passion was, which is what I had done at that point. But I was doing it out of this very patriarchal, the more you work, the harder you do it, the better it's going to be done. And it was at that event that everything started to fall apart. I was at the second day of the party, at the second day of the event, at the VIP party that evening. My wife was doing drugs. Turns out she was doing cocaine, and I had my sales staff, which one of them, and my COO, which was my sister, was smoking pot out with the sales team, and I'm standing on stage teaching spiritual stuff, and I'm like, what's going on, And I came out of this event where I made enough money to cover the expenses of the event, but I didn't make enough to where it was like what it should have been. Like, it should have been a 7-figure event. It should have been an amazing experience. And although people were having massive transformations, my life was falling apart. I left my partner. I left her. I fired my whole team, and I walked away. I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I can't do this anymore. I'm overstressed. I'm overworked, and I'm obviously doing something wrong. And it was a really, really tough time for me, because I felt like I built something that was so close to my soul, but I wasn't doing it in the right way. And all of these things were crumbling around me. My health issues were coming back. I was having massive psoriasis issues with my hands pussing and bleeding. All of this stuff that I had healed previously from all of my trauma was all starting to pop back up into my life. And I was having financial issues again. And so I walked away. And I went, and I had one of my mentors and spiritual guides that I worked with, that she was having a retreat in Sonoma County, California. And I said, I'm going. And I literally went to this event, to this retreat. I put my phone on silent and turned it off for 5 days straight, which at first I had massive panic attacks about. I was like, I'm going to lose my whole business. Everything's going to, go. But I had to do it. And at that moment was when I had my massive shift. And I actually spent the next year traveling all over the world, doing really deep spiritual work, and working with gurus, and going, and working with different people. And I took my daughter to Europe for 5 weeks. I ended up at a place called Docu-series, which is this like spiritual eco society in the mountains of Italy. And books would fall off of the shelves, and I would read them, and things. And in that moment, in that space, I was actually able to restructure my whole life and my business in the way that it shows up now, where I put myself first, where I was in flow, and where things, where I got into alignment. I got into alignment with my source, and with who I was, and with my experience. And it changed everything for me, because I don't think I would still be doing the work that I'm doing today if I hadn't had that experience in 2015.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And I'm wondering, how did the experience of being homeless, and I also came from that when I was 10 to 13 and a half, I was homeless, and it changed my experience and connection to source, and being intuitive really changed. How did that affect your intuition and connection
Yeah. Well, the moment that I got the eviction notice on on my door, I was in 2009. I was in my 30s. I had not worked on a lot of, like, I had a lot of sexual trauma and a lot of different things from my childhood, and eating disorders and self-mutilation and all these things that I had found a way to work through, but it kind of culminated in, and I even was in a drug trafficker and all these like things. And it culminated in this experience of like, for the 5 years previous to 2009, I actually was doing what everybody in society said were the right things to do. I went and got the job. I got the girlfriend, and I was, living like all of these things. I was living in this experience, and my girlfriend left me. I lost my job, and I got the eviction notice all within a 6-month time frame. And I call it my like coming to Jesus moment. I just sat there and I was like, if I'm doing all of the things society tells me are the right things to do, and I'm still back and it was worse of crap as I was when I had all the crap and the trauma from before, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, there's got to, and it was at that moment that I finally surrendered. It was my first time that I didn't know that that's what surrender was at that point. It was the first time that I let go and finally realized I didn't know everything, and that I didn't have to control every piece of every part of my life to make it work. And I just said, please show me the way. And it opened the door within myself for the answers to start coming and the people and the synchronicities to start showing up, that allowed me to actually start the business that I did in 2010 that is now an international organization.
That's incredible. Yes, that's something that I feel that from my experience as well, it's something that when you let go of all these expectations and following all these rules, or, from Mind Valley, they call it rules, the bullshit rules.
Oh, yes, vision. Yes.
Yes. And, when we stop following those and really go with our soul calling and what we're guided to do, even though it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
It is usually like 99.999% spot on when we just let go of all that and listen and believe. And I actually, 2019, I sold a whole bunch and I moved to a different place for my main residence. And everybody's like, you've never moved in your life like this. And, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know. I just feel really called to do this. And everything happened. I lost one of my youngest children. I have 6. And, he passed away of Wolff Parkinson White, a heart condition. All these things happened. And it was like, and then, of course, we had the pandemic, and where I lived was not the best place to live. And it actually, they evicted people before they had the rules. And it was
wow,
interesting situation. And people said, wow, you dodged a bullet. And I said, no, I just listened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when everybody told me it wasn't right, and I knew it was what I needed to do and it was right for me, I just went with that.
Yeah.
And even my mind was like, this makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. But a lot of times it doesn't. Sometimes that the voices inside, that intuition, when you have that connection, it's a lot of times counterintuitive to what we've been taught from society. One of the things that we teach in the academy, we talk about intuitive intelligence. And when we work with like CEOs and high level people, they're so used to using their IQ, right, instead of their CQ, which is their the consciousness quotient, which is their intuitive intelligence. And yet, though they know for a fact that your heart thinks, and that it remembers, and that it is the connection into the quantum, what I call the God field, and that is where all possibilities and information exist. And so if you're trying to figure it out from up here, and instead of connecting in here, you're actually missing all of the magic and the ability to actually have the life that you want, because you're not connected to the rest of us. You're not connected to this field of where everything is meant for us to be together and where all of these experiences happen. And so when I teach people how to drop in and connect into their intuitive intelligence, it literally changes everything in their lives. And we've had people that have had like instantaneous healings, or where they built a business from a completely different way. I did an all men's retreat in Australia before COVID, and it was all high level male CEOs, and they came in and they did this quantum miracles and intuitive intelligence work, and they're like, I've never done anything like this in my life, but they saw things and were able to heal trauma, and then change the way that their business was, and it to the point where it blossomed. It ended up being millions of dollars for them, right? And things like that, because it was a different way of connecting in. Because logically, that this folktale factory that we have in our head is going to tell us a bunch of crap, and that's all pre-programmed. And that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the way that things are supposed to go.
Yes, yes. I agree 100,000%. I remember going and doing some training with the monks from India. And I sat with a group of very well-to-do, very successful people. And very few, actually none at that table, had this connection. I had this connection from the time when I was homeless going forward. I guess you have to connect more. You have to have something, and you learn to connect, and you learned that everybody in front of you is your teacher and your guide. It doesn't matter who they are. And so we're talking, and at that table, they were like, we would give all our money to have that connection and experience. It's not something that they could even fathom. And yet it's something we all can access easily when we let go of all these limiting beliefs.
Yeah, it is a lot easier to access than we've been taught or been told. And we teach simple, I call it like the 5-second solution, right? Like simple techniques that get you into coherence. And so what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to connect the heart and the brain together. We actually want to use both of those organs, right? We want to have both of those for us. And so when you connect those two together, the ability for your body and your mind and your soul to create the life for you that you want and is so much more powerful. And so when you connect those organs together and you start to live from that space, things show up in your life and things are healed and experiences happen. And I say as if by magic, but it's actually not magic, because all it is a change in perception. It is literally like things that were there that we thought weren't. We are changing the way that we are seeing the world and viewing it. And those things then appear to us that were always there.
That's so beautiful. Now, for those listening in, do you have an activity or way to kind of start to try to do that at home? How would we connect those two areas?
Absolutely. I actually have something that I teach, and I have the exact process with instructions and the meditation on my YouTube channel, but I can sit here and show you. Like I say, it's really, really simple. And if you want, if we can all do it together.
Beautiful.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So what I say is we want to first connect with what I call our sacred heart. Now I say the sacred heart because when I say the heart, a lot of people think of like their physical heart over here, right? And the sacred heart is actually your heart chakra region, or the region right here in the center. And so what we want to do is we're trying to get out of a beta brainwave, which is the thinking brainwave. It's where most of us are at most of the time. We're in a stressful, either a beta brainwave or a high beta brainwave, which is more of a stress state. And so we want to drop out of that state and into our heart. So first we want to just place some attention on our heart. So a lot of ways, this is what actually prayer position does. So everybody thinks that this is something, but it's actually what the ancient wisdom tells us is that when you take your two thumbs and press them into this area and do this, it actually activates something in your brain to drop into your heart. So if you don't want to do the prayer position, you can put your left hand over and your right hand over. We just want to breathe for a second, breathe in and just focus on that inner area. And so you're going to just drop into your heart. And then the second piece that we want to focus to connect the brain and the heart together, we have what's called a pineal gland. And it is basically, so you have what's called the crown chakra. And inside here, our third eye, or our pineal gland, is this little pine cone shaped thing that's in the center of our head, which is like the antenna that connects us to the universe. And we want to connect our heart and our brain together so that they work in conjunction and open this elevator into the field. So just take your finger, if you don't know where it's at, and like imagine that if you could still feel the two platelets in your head right there, and it's right there in the center, and just kind of poke it, let it know where it's at. And that's where we're going. And we're going to do a breath, and we're going to go here. Okay. So you're going to, when you breathe in, we're going to do a breath. You're going to breathe in and imagine that breath is coming in through your heart, all the way up that spine. So I call it the golden elevator, all the way up the spine and right into the center of the forehead. And then you're just going to hold in the center of your forehead here and squeeze. You're just going to, and you can like squeeze your eyes if you need to feel the squeezing. The squeezing activates the crystals in the pineal gland. And you're just going to squeeze. And then when you breathe out, that breath and that beautiful light is going to breathe out. It's going to come right back out your sacred heart. And we're just going to do that. We're going to just try it for a couple of rounds just so you can see what it feels like. But I recommend doing it for about 2 to 3 minutes, which is about 10 in and out breaths. And when you do this, you're creating a connection between your heart and your brain, and it becomes a 0.1 hertz, and that is actually the vibration of the earth, and it aligns you and everything into the earth, and your beta brainwave and your heart rate variable, your heart, come into alignment, and that all creates coherence between yourself, your body, and the earth. So super simple. So here we go. So just however you want to hold your hands, whether it's over your heart, prayer position, or this way, just go ahead and do that, and just take a couple of simple deep breaths first to start. Already notice the difference just from a couple of breaths, right? How amazing. So now as you breathe in on your next breath, I want you to imagine that a beautiful white light is coming in through your heart and traveling all the way up your spine and into the center of your forehead. So just breathing in. And now here you're at the top, and squeeze and hold, squeeze and hold. And then just breathe back out, imagining that beautiful light and air is breathing, coming right back out your heart, breathing it out. And now breathe back in, breathing in slowly, breathing in all the way up, 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 and hold and squeeze. And then breathe out. And we'll do it one more time, breathing in. Squeezing and holding that breath right into the center of your forehead. Hold it and then breathe out. And that's it. Nice. You just do that for like 10 rounds. Amazing. Feel a difference already, right?
That's beautiful. And that's something you can bring to your work. You can go do that at your desk, even if you're going back to work. There's a lot of people that are, they're finally going back to work, and now they're faced with going back to work.
Yeah.
And
once you get to a place where you practice and you can drop into your heart, you don't have to hold your hands there. It's just that's so that if you've never done that before, it takes the attention. Your brain has a place to go, a place to focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear more about the Intuitive Intelligence Academy.
Absolutely.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, so the Intuitive Intelligence Academy was grown and built in 2016 out of the work that I was teaching. I was teaching both intuitive intelligence and work, and I had started the world's largest miracles experiment, where I was traveling the world teaching people how to create miracles instantaneously in their lives. And 2016 was at the end of that whole experience in 2015, where I nearly walked away from everything. And I was like, oh, I'm done. And the inspiration and the download and the vision came. What it was don't walk away from this, change the form and how you're teaching it and how it's showing up. So we created our first training and certification. It's a coaching and training certification for intuitive intelligence. And we started teaching other people what I had been traveling and teaching people at that point for 6 years. That was changing people's lives. And it was such an incredible experience. And there were so many people that were learning these techniques that it just grew from there. Within the time from 2016 to now, we now have we've been in over 18 countries and 10,000 students, and we've got our intuitive intelligence certification and training. We also teach quantum energy healing. We've had people heal from things such as cancer and endometriosis and like almost every disease, paralyzation, trauma, PTSD, all these different types of things. And so we teach quantum energy healing, we teach intuitive intelligence, and then we have programs. If you're not a student and don't want to learn this work to be a, as a healer, we have a ton of doctors and coaches and psychologists that have come in and taken our programs. You can also come and learn how to use the work in your life. So we teach what's called quantum miracles, which is how do manifesting is a real buzzword. How do you actually manifest? What's the science behind it? So all of our programs are based in the science of quantum physics and neuroscience and understanding how you use those processes. And so we teach like quantum miracles and quantum money mastery. And we, up until COVID and the pandemic, we were doing live events and retreats all over the world. And so now we've moved online. We're actually having our first live retreat again in June. I'm so excited. And so now we've moved online, and our goal with the Intuitive Intelligence Academy, which is the world's leading school for spiritual alchemy and transformation, is to combine science and spirituality so that it's easy to understand in a step-by-step process that anybody can use so that they can heal their lives, so they can heal their trauma, heal their PTSD, heal a physical illness, heal a mental illness, financial issue, right? Things that, and instead of it just being this woo-woo process you don't really understand, we give you the really methodical and understanding ways to like go through it step by step so that you can see a true transformation in your life and use that work in a really powerful way.
That's incredible. I'd like to hear a little bit more about what is the quantum healing concept, or what is this quantum?
Yeah, so quantum healing or quantum energy healing is recognizing that so we work with what's called the God field and the quantum field, and in the quantum we are all connected and all possibilities exist, and there is a belief that we are all complete and whole, and that a disease or an illness or a challenge is a distortion in your field. And so this distortion in your field, so like say you have these energy fields around you, you have energy fields in your body, and any type of disease or anything that shows up is from an absence of love. So think about this as like, when you're worried or you have fear, what is there? It's an absence of love. Emotions get stuck in your body. They create diseases because when you have an emotion, it sends a signal to your brain. That brain sends a signal to the genes, and the genes create proteins that either one gene will create 3,000 different proteins. And from those proteins, your body will create wellness or disease. And where does the emotion come from? The emotion is an absence of love. And so you can actually see these distortions in your field. They've proven that a person that has cancer, the distortion will show up in their field before the cancer shows up in their body. If you break your leg, the actual distortion or the break, it will show up in your field before it shows up in your body. So people think that they're getting these diseases or these challenges or limiting beliefs, right, that create financial challenges in your life or love challenges. They think that these things are coming from this external experience, but actually we're creating them within ourselves. So we use quantum healing energy where we are pulling in source or pulling in the wellness, and you become a vessel for wholeness. And from that you emanate. So we teach remote healing. We teach self-healing. We teach people how to harness the power of the quantum universe and the energy field and electromagnetic signals, and pull those into their body, into a signature of wholeness and alignment that they can then emanate, and it creates massive transformation and healing.
Oh, that's incredible. So the alignment, that word came up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Alignment.
Yeah.
That's so important. How would you say, if you're maybe you're working in a situation or you're in a relationship or whatever where people are not aligned with your absolute truth, or they're going against your, I don't know, true north, what would you say would be the best thing to do in a situation like that?
I like that. I believe that we all have our own truths, and that we all live in our own reality, right? Where right now, think about it in the world. We have COVID, pandemic, vaccines, politics, things with trafficking, right? Like we have this, we live in a 3D world where everybody is living in a reality that they've created, where they have a belief that they believe that this thing is true, that they know for a fact that COVID is this, or they know for a fact that the vaccine will do this, or they know for a fact that this president will do this, or this one will do this, right? That's the world that they live in. And where I live is what I call a 5D reality, or a quantum consciousness, where I believe that you have the right, and know that your world and your vision is yours to be had, and that whatever you believe is not going to affect my life. And I choose to live in a state of love, and that there is no right or wrong. So is the vaccine right or wrong? It's a personal for each and every one of you, right? I have what is right for me. You have what is right for you. I live in a place of love, where if you're my true north, and my beliefs are where I'm going, and all of mine take me to a higher level and allow me to raise my vibration and live in a different world. And yet, that doesn't mean I don't see the wrongs in the world, or believe that there is nothing wrong and that we don't have morality. But I believe at a core level that we have all come here to have an experience. And who am I to say that your experience is the right one or the wrong one for you compared to my experience for me? So when I run up against somebody that's belief systems or their experience rubs against mine, I'm open to listening, as long as it's not forcing. Right. It's one of those things where I've changed my opinions many times. I've learned many things. But my true alignment is always only going to be true for me. There are almost 8 billion people in the world, and every single person's truth is different than another person's, plain and simple. There are other. And the challenge that we get into, and where society, I feel, gets it really wrong, is that we create these pockets of beliefs and these groups and these cliques that then say my way is the only right way. And if you're not following my way, then you must be wrong. Well, what if that your right way is right for you, and this right person's right way is right for them, right? My right way for healing is quantum healing, but maybe someone else's is to take the medication and do the thing that they need. There was a point in my life where I would have judged that. I would have been like, no, screw pharmaceuticals, and, that's not the right way. But now I'm in a much different place, where it is not right for me, and I'm not going to take them. I haven't taken a pharmaceutical in 15 years, and I've seen massive things healed. But for some reason, that might be the right thing for you at this point in time. And when you grow and learn, you know more, and so I say it like this, is like, if you're driving down the highway, right? And alignment, I'm in my lane and you're in your lane, like, I'm going to stay in my lane, and my lane is going to get me where I need to go. You're going to stay in your lane because you're probably not going to the same destination I am, at least most of the time, right? Your destination is going to be different. So there might be something in your lane that you need to get to your destination that I never needed in my lane. And so the things that I learn or know or experience allow me to live to my truth, my higher purpose, where my soul is taking me to. And that is what is right for me in this lifetime. But I can't say what somebody else is supposed to be here to learn, know, experience, have, that their lane is not supposed to take them where they need to go.
I love that. That is so helpful. And I know for my family, when we started this universal pause, where Corona became more than a beer, I'm ready for it to go back to being a beer, and I don't even drink. But when this started, we would get these messages from people that love us very much, and they would be completely opposite of our belief system, maybe many times. And they would send and send. And I realized, okay, they believe this so much from their whole being. They believe this as their truth.
They're saying it from a place of love.
Exactly. And I told my daughter, I said, just send a heart back.
Yeah.
Just send a heart back, because, it's coming from love, even though it's their interpretation of right and wrong for them.
Yeah.
And leave it at that, and you don't have to watch the videos. If it's like, I don't want to see that again, whatever. You don't have to get into the politics. You can just send them a heart back, and then it's all good. And that was really a shift for us, for my daughter and I, because we both are very affected. We were like, oh my gosh, this is what happened to these friends? What are they doing? And then it was, it's all love. And when we see everything as love, it's so much easier to let it go.
Everything is either comes from love or is a cry for love. I truly believe that. I believe that with my whole heart and my whole being. And so, because people tell me, like, even if you look at what you feel to be the most horrific crime or experience in the world, it comes from love or a cry for love. You know, like people talk about children. I grew up and I was abused, and I had a very, very challenging childhood. It took me into my 30s to realize that my family loved me. They just doing the best that they could with what they knew how, and that was the only way that they knew how to show their love. And that wasn't that I wasn't loved. You know, I can remember when I finally told my father in my 30s. That I had been, molested, before the age of 10, because he had left me alone in a house, and I went to get food after, not having any food and being alone, and needed food from the next door neighbors, and they molested me, and thinking that he would have, just whatever, because he had abused me, and I, physically, different things like that. So I was like, oh, and when he found out, he broke down crying. Mm-hmm. He had loved me. He had always loved me. He just didn't know any other way to show it, and it was a powerful moment for me to recognize that, and to realize that I truly believe that across the board, even if your personality isn't showing up that way, that you are still at your core part of source, and you are at your core love. That you are.
Yes, and that's something. Some people, they need a lot more love and healing themselves. Yeah. And we have that awareness and can send love and gratitude for the experience that showed up in our life to teach us whatever we needed. That makes a big difference, and the awareness is key. There are some people that could never heal and have the capacity maybe to fully express love in the proper way because they never received it when they were little. Yeah. So stopping that pattern, as we stop that pattern, I think it affects everyone else on this planet in a better way. Definitely. Yes. And I'd love to hear about the masterclass that's coming up soon.
Yes. So it's actually a docu-series that you are going to be a part of. I'm so excited. It's called Quantum Miracles Mastery, and this is our second annual. And this edition this year is called Heal. And it's all about the convergence of science and spirituality, and how we're using quantum energy healing techniques, different modalities, alternative healing to help heal the world from during a crisis, from trauma, from PTSD, and like all of the different ways that we can show up, and what healing actually means. And so in our second annual this year, we've been so blessed to have everybody from last year that's coming back, like Jack Canfield and Mark Nepo and Dr. Sue Morter and Lynn McTaggart, some really amazing names that came in to work with us last year, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., like that, and then adding on some really credible names this year, like Master Koa and Dr. Bruce Lipton, and some of these really incredible people that talk about this idea of how to create miracles today so you can heal anything. And when I say that, people are like, oh, miracles to heal anything. Well, everything is healable. And we're trying to move away from this idea that healing the mind, body, and soul is all separate, right? You used to go to the doctor to have your body healed, and you would go to a therapist for your mental stuff, and then go to religion for your spiritual stuff, right? And there's this idea of a wholeness that is created, and the different types of ways that we can heal. And so I actually just did one of my first interviews today, and the person talked about the art of stopping. You wouldn't think that the art of stopping was a way to heal, but let me tell you, it's really amazing. And so like this is, I'm really excited. Last year we reached over 1 million people, and it's a 7-day event that we are doing where we're bringing these powerful techniques and sound healings and meditations and conversations and interviews about what does it mean to heal, what is a miracle, and how can we bring these things into our life today, and the science behind it. So for all of you people out there that are like, I don't believe in that stuff, you're going to have a way to really start to understand that this isn't some, woo-woo or whatever experience, but that this is real factual things, that you don't need a pill or a potion or something like that to actually be able to create massive healing in your life.
I love it. I look forward to that. And when is this event going to take place?
It is May 26th to June 1st.
All right. And then do we have a link that is going to be shared here?
Yeah, we will. Yeah, so it is quantum-miracles.com, but you will have your own special link that will be you'll have for yourself too. That will be sending you.
Okay, great, great. And now, as far as if somebody were to join your program, as far as transformational quantum healing and intuitive intelligence academy, and they're just starting out on this, they're just like, I want to learn about this. This is
Yeah.
all new. Where would they start?
Yeah, so I say for the easiest thing, right, the heart breath is just the simple things. We the key with our programs and what we do, not our certification trainings, but our regular programs for people, is we make them accessible to anybody. We break it down bite by bite. So whether you've ever been in the world of quantum or healing or intuitive intelligence or anything at all, that you have come and understand. And the reason, and how I know this is because we did pilot programs for all of our stuff, where we brought in both people that had done a lot of work and know stuff, and people that had no idea in our word to get their feedback, so that we created that, those things very simply. So it is not something where you have to know a lot. Like, can you breathe? Do you breathe? Because breathing is one of the things that we teach, right? Even if you don't meditate yet, we teach you simple 3-minute meditations like that, just get you to like sit and think, right? Simple stuff that allow you to start. And then that what happens is you start to open the doorway to that. But what I recommend is like that heart breath that I taught you. I tell people, do that for 3 minutes a day for 2 weeks, and you will start to have a massive transformation and healing and things in your life just from something as simple as that. So you don't have to actually buy a program or be a part of a program, although they're amazing and people love them. If you want to try some things out, I also have over 30 quantum meditations on our YouTube that are really great. Like, you can start to and feel it out. We've had people take them. They're like, I finally, this is cool, right? Like, I get it. So it's simple to, no matter where you're at, to start the journey in the path.
And what would you suggest as far as reading books, material that people should maybe look into when they're just starting to learn about this quantum field? And
good question. Let's see, books. I have so many. I have all the favorite authors. So Bruce Lipton, who's going to be on our docu-series, has the biology of belief. The biology of belief is really great, but it's kind of sciencey. So if you're not into sciencey too much, then the honeymoon effect talks about how when you fall in love, and how that actually changes, like the chemistry behind love and the things that show up in your life and what happens after the honeymoon effect ends, and why, and things like that. And so it kind of gives you an idea, because he is a scientist. I think it's a really, really great book to start with. It's a lot of fun to read. If you're more into like deeper stuff, Greg Braden is one of my favorites, and he wrote like the Divine Matrix, and there's some really, really fun things on that. And then super simple people that you might want to check out. Dr. Joe Dispenza is really great. Wayne Dyer gives a really practical way, of accessing and explaining things that I think are really powerful for people. So some of those are some of those authors. Mark Nepo is going to also be on our series, and probably one of the most incredible conversations that I had. Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Neil Donald Walsh is on our docu-series, and he can share with you some of the things with like, how do you have a conversation with God? Because it's all about in that same kind of realm of experiences. Those are some of my favorites, I would say.
Oh, yes, I love them all. I remember learning with Dr. Wayne when he started in psychology, and he was very psychological and everything. And he went from that to spirituality. And it was his personal journey that he brought all his audience, his readers, and people that attended his events went through that same transformation. It was such a beautiful experience. And
yeah.
Yes, just incredible. Well, I can't wait to be on and be a part of this incredible program. And again, could you share how people can connect with you if they would like to?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can always find me if you go to the intuitiveintelligenceacademy.com. Or if you want to check out just my own personal website is melissabinkley.com, or you can put either of those into pretty much any social media platform that you find, and you will come across me and our work. Or you can put it, or the other one is Quantum Miracles. If Quantum Miracles, when you put it in, you'll start to see things coming up around our work and stuff too.
All right. Thank you again for being a guest on the show, and stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.
Hello, friends. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And I am so excited to be able to announce that I will be a guest speaker on the Quantum Miracle Mastery Docu-series Heal. And with that, I actually have a complimentary pass for anybody who would like to join in. The docu-series starts live on May 26th, and we have so many incredible people that will be speaking on different forms of mastering miracles and healing. We have Bruce Lipton and many other speakers. So I'd love to have you attend. And if you would like to get your complimentary ticket, go to https:// Z like zipper, C like cat, 273.isrefer.com/go/quantum miracles/Sheila Mack. And I look forward to having you as special guests. All right, stay tuned. We have more messages after this. Chapter 10: Self-Care and Spirituality. Lisa's husband passed away. As a couple, they had recently agreed that they were going to sell their house and move to a retirement community, and now she had to do that alone. Between the loss of her husband and the home her son had grown up in, Lisa was hit with a double whammy of grief. As anyone who has lost someone knows, grief causes stress levels to rise exponentially. On top of that, selling a house and moving, even when it's a planned, happier move, is also stressful and can be unsettling. You lose things, objects get broken, and you have to readjust to a new place. Lisa wasn't just moving away from the house where she'd raised her son. She was also leaving the neighborhood she'd lived in for 45 years, where her friends lived, and where she volunteered in the community. She felt she was losing everything in her life at once. Lisa and I started talking because she needed some support through all these decisions and upheaval. She was even overwhelmed with things she was usually quite good at, her paperwork and taxes, because of all the changes she was going through at once. As we talked, she told me how she took care of her husband, her son, and her community. But she had never taken time for herself, and now she was faced with too much time. I gave her the challenge of doing one thing for herself every day, as if she was doing it for her husband or close friend. If someone showed up on her doorstep in pain, stressed out, or going through something, Lisa would drop everything to help that person. Now, though, that person would be her. She was going to give herself as much attention, honor, and love as she gave to so many other people. And I asked her to send me pictures of her doing these things, so she would be held accountable. At first she was like, "Are you crazy?" I promised her it would help, even though she thought it would be dumb. For me, I told her, do it for me if you're not going to do it for yourself. The first day, Lisa sent me a picture of herself getting her nails done with the text, "I haven't had my nails done in months, not since before Dave got sick. It felt so good, and you were right. I kind of needed that break." "Great," I replied. "What are you doing tomorrow?" From survival mode to self-care. When we hit rock bottom situations in life, it tends to send us into survival mode. And when we're in that place, we're so busy making ends meet, struggling with grief, loss, and pain, and dealing with whatever is going on that we don't have a choice but to eliminate some of the things we usually do. When we have to go to work, then go visit somebody in the hospital, then pick up your kids, and you still have to make dinner and maintain a certain level of cleanliness in your home, or whatever duties you have to do, taking an hour for yourself to go to the gym or meditate gets pushed aside. It's just today, you tell yourself, but then tomorrow comes and goes, and another day and another. The next thing you know, it's been a month or two, and then you really start to notice the difference. One day, you wake up and you're not who you used to be. When you aren't practicing self-care, it shows up all over. Maybe you're exhausted and not sleeping right. Maybe you're off your healthy diet. Perhaps you've pushed your meditation practice and it's showing up at work or with relationships. You start snapping at people you would never snap at. When you're already at rock bottom with one situation and then you realize how many of your healthy habits went in the fallout, it can be overwhelming. You've hit another rock bottom and you may be looking around and thinking, how do I get from here back to where I was? You start over. One step at a time. Starting over sounds scary, but there is good news. Your muscles have memory. Your body remembers healthy eating, and you can catch up on your sleep, but it's not going to happen in one day. It took you more than one day to reach this rock bottom place. One day of not cleaning up doesn't bring a mess into your life. One day of extra spending doesn't necessarily lead to a negative cash flow situation, so it's going to take a few days or even weeks to get back to where you were. The fastest way to start climbing up from rock bottom is to take small steps and focus on little wins. Do one small chore that's fallen by the wayside, and then one reward to yourself, and do one small act of self-care too. As you do one, the other becomes easier, and you climb back up from your rock bottom. Once you've taken the first step and have that first little win, you can take another. Maybe tomorrow you'll clean one part of your house or deal with one bill that got thrown into a pile. Set a goal or a timer, and once you reach that number or that time, stop and take some time to reward yourself for the progress you've made. Just for tonight, take 5 minutes to meditate. It doesn't have to be the whole hour that you used to do, as long as you're doing something. Maybe you're starting over with your budget, so you can't go get a massage or facial or have a spa day right now. Just for today, try doing your nails at home, or just for this afternoon, take a 10-minute walk. Anything that leaves you thinking, oh, that feels better, after you do it. You can even schedule appointments for time to spoil yourself a little, even if you just mark enough time in your calendar for simple things like lighting a candle and meditating, taking a walk or a nap, or watching a movie, something that's just for you. You'll still have to take the right actions and take care of the things you're required to care for in your life. But you can also honor an appointment with yourself. I have a giveaway gift for all my listeners, especially for beautiful, authentic you. Request your free introduction to the Boots formula and Boots meditation today at www.sheilamac.com/bootsmeditation. Sheila, SHEILAMAC.com/BOOTS meditation. If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and action steps to help you rebuild,
Reinvent and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. If you are just tuning in, this is Sheila Mack, host of NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And today I have a special gift for beautiful, authentic you. For a free Boots meditation and mini introduction to the Boots formula course, go to www.sheilamac.com/Boots meditation. That's www.Sheilamac.com/Boots, BOOTS meditation, and enjoy your free gift, which is a free Boots meditation class, as well as a mini introduction to the Boots formula course. Enjoy.